the Modern Conservative Podcast with John Harvey.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm your host of the Modern Conservative Podcast, and I want to say this segment will be brought to you by Ironside Coffee Brewing Company. That's ironsidebc.com. Check them out, America's truest conservative brand of coffee. Well, today's been a great week here in the state of Utah, and at the Democratic National Convention, aka the Do Nothing Convention, which represents that party really well. Hey, I must simply say something about the Democrats. Now, you've heard me say several times that the Democrats are a piece of work. I'm changing the word from work to something else. I was just talking to my producer before we went on air about some of the things that were going on at the Do Nothing Convention. And he says something rather interesting to me. He says, if you really want to know what the Democrats are really going to do, look what they're blaming on Trump. So if they're saying Trump's going to do it, it's most likely they're going to do it. I mean, case in point, Kamala Harris. She says, no more tax on tips. Hey, that's Trump. Hey, she may even come out and say, make America great again. Hey, that's Trump. She might even say that she's going to do prison reform. Hey, that's Trump. How about this? Drill, baby, drill. That might be her as well. The woman has some great lines that I've never heard before. Them damn Democrats are so damn clever. So clever. And what will they come up next? I identify as a black woman. There's a shocker. There's another shocker. Hell, she might even be a little gay. You never know. I mean, these people seem to be chameleons who can change themselves into anything that you want them to be. Now, at the end of the day, nothing ever works out right for your best interests. But they can say any damn thing, and they've been saying any damn thing. Look at the Do Nothing Convention. What, it started on Monday? Here it is Thursday. What are they actually going to do for the people? What's her policies? What is she actually going to do? Because I haven't heard a damn thing yet. I mean, they got the singers up there. They got Oprah up there. They got Michelle and Barack Obama up there. It's all a show to stonewall their own people. Because none of them got an education of what they're actually going to do. And here's the best representation of how fraudulent these people are. It's that particular sheriff from Texas, the sheriff that was bolstering Kamala Harris, how much she's done for immigration in the state of Texas. If you do not think that man is an ass kisser and he got paid to say what he's saying, you're a fool. Because their own people know that the border is not safe, it's not secured, and we all know they're coming over by the thousands. And I don't mean coming through the gate. But he's bolstering her, he's pumping her up, telling us telling them how great of a job that Kamala Harris has done when she's been sight unseen at the border. The Democrats, I do believe, are some of the most lionest people on the planet. And the people that follow them are the blindest people on the planet. How could you follow an organization such as the Democratic Party of today without knowing what's going on? I heard an interview happen outside of the Do Nothing convention, and the question was asked of a kid, high school, a college kid, probably 20, and he asked the individual, "What do you think about reparations?" Now, that's a question that's always kind of bugged me because if you know your history when it comes to slavery, even just a little bit, reparations is not for the people who are living today. It's not for the great grandchildren that are living today. It's not for the liberal activists who's bolstering that blacks should get, reparations for what their great great grandfather went through or grandmother went through. My answer to reparations is simply this: before you give it to the great great grandchildren, why don't you give it to the soldiers that are white and the 30,000 that are black who fought to free slaves? Shouldn't they be considered first? Because far as I'm concerned, their life is payment for their freedom. And it needs to go no further than that. See, the slaves gained something when those 600,000 white men and 30,000 free men fought in the Civil War. They actually sacrificed something. That was payment for the slaves to be freed. So why don't you think about the soldiers and the fighters? How about thinking about their children and great grandchildren? See, that's what you need to think about. But a lot of people are selfish, as if those soldiers doesn't exist. They exist. They actually did. But I know they want to get rid of history and think that slavery just ended spontaneously. Well, that's not history. That's not what happened. People died to free the slaves. Once again, people died to free the slaves. That's who I'm thinking about when it comes to reparations. I'm not thinking about grandkids of free slaves or great grandkids of free slaves or great great grandkids of free slaves. I'm thinking about the soldiers that died who paid the ultimate price to free slaves. So when anybody asks you that question, I want you to look at them as if they're the dumbest thing you've ever seen in your life on this planet, to ask that question. I want you to casually ask them, what the hell is wrong with you people? Why in the hell will we pay you and your ancestors? Oh, let me change it. Let me make it a little clearer. Why in the hell will we pay you any damn thing? Why? Why? You can't bring back my great great grandpa. If my grandpa lost his life and I'm not asking for one red cent from the American people, why should you, when your family benefited from the life of my grandpa, my great grandpa? There's your payment. You benefited from it. I lost a loved one from it. So that's my thoughts on reparation. They try to make it a one-sided story. They try to make you feel guilty for being white. And hey, one more thing. They don't even know about the 30,000 free slaves that fought in the war. They make no mention of these people. No mention whatsoever. And you don't see the families of these 30,000 free slaves who fought in the war asking for reparations either. They're not running around this country saying, hey, my great great grandfather died to free slaves. Where's my reparation at? So you don't hear this from the people who actually lost something. You're hearing it from the people who actually gained something from slavery, freeing the slaves. But they don't have that conversation because too many people are fearful of that conversation. I oftentimes tell white folks, you got to stop. You got to stop. You cannot cower because of someone's race. You should not let them call you out and make you out to be something that you were never that. Because if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for everything. And when you know your history, you need to be like Charlie Kirk. Use it. Use it to your advantage to show them you're no dummy, you're no coward, you don't give a damn what they think about you, whether you're white, black, yellow, or brown. You know your history. And you know they're coming at you from a point of history that they think you don't know. And that's why they're asking for reparation, because they believe majority of the white people that don't know about reparation. Now, and the thing is simply this, ladies and gentlemen, they're not coming at black people asking for reparation. I would dare say, majority of black people don't know the history when it comes to slavery. They're trying to make the white folks feel guilty because the white folks and ancestors owned slaves. See, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to make white folks feel guilty. Now, isn't it interesting that in politics, the majority of the politicians are white? So when the politicians of Washington, D.C. hear about reparations, especially of the Democrats, they want to say, oh my God, we need to create policies for these guys. We need to give them some reparations. Well, you did give them reparations. It's called welfare. That's about as good as it's going to get. That's about as good as it should get. And that shouldn't be there. They need to get their asses out and get a job. But the federal government knows 6 months on welfare won't keep them in power. They want to do it for life, so it's generational. Generation after generation as generation are trained that, one, the Democrat people love giving you free shit, but number two, you don't have to go out to work. We'll take care of you. We'll put you in your little ghettos, in your little shack, or your little Section 8 homes, so you can feel like the federal government, the Democrats, I should say, are doing things for you. Because them sorry ass Republicans, all they do, they just hate black folks, and they just want to, make us work and make us be good citizens, and they want the Republicans want to do prison reform. Yeah, that's right, we're bad. We are bad because we want you to get off your ass. I'll take it if that makes us bad people. I'll take it. But the Democrats don't want you to do nothing but vote for them. And you can see that at the Do Nothing convention. Did you notice how many people that they had at the convention? All of the black people there are somebody of influence. You have your rappers, you have your TV stars, you have your movie stars, you have your hip hop singers, you have your popular politicians like Barack and Michelle Obama. You had tons of white people there who are there. They're only there because they want to show we support black people. They're not there because of policy. It was a hip hop party is what it was, paid for by the the Do Nothing convention. That's all it was, a hip hop party. There was no policies spoke of at that convention as of last night. As of last night, we don't know what the hell they've. Well, we know what Michelle Obama, not Michelle Obama, but Kamala Harris was saying. She says, we want to put a cap on price gouging. That's the dumbest thing you can ever do. If you know anything about economics, all you're going to do is create shortages. When you create shortages, guess what happened to the products? They go up super high. It's not going to happen. It sounds good to the dummy that doesn't know any better, but it's not going to happen. Just like tax on tips, even you Democrats that are listening to me know that tax on tips is Donald Trump's slogan. No taxes on tips. That's his slogan. So, which tells you something about Donald Trump. He's effective. He's effective. Because remember, in the course of everything he's done, his policies were going to ruin the country. He was going to destroy democracy. You know, people, he's been there, done that. Something that she hasn't done. See, she hasn't been part of a successful administration. Look at the past 16 years. Look at the past 16 years. Here's an example for you. Take a look at the past 16 years. Of those 16 years, 8 of them was Obama. Shit show. The other 4 years that the Democrats controlled was 2020 to 24, a bigger shit show. Guess where the shiny points were in the past 16 years? 2016 to 2020. Think about it, people. I don't need to draw you a map. And you know this. So what does that tell you? Democrats have a damn shitty ass policy platform. How do I know? 2008 to 2016, 2020 to 24. And only 4 years of that was the golden years. And guess who was the boss? Donald Trump was the boss. How much more of an example do you need to know that the Democrats do not know what they're doing? Barack Obama never should have been president of the United States. Never should have been the president of this country. He had no policies. He had no experience. You know, this is the world's largest corporation. You think anybody can run it and be successful? We've proven it. We have proven it. Joe Biden, been in office for 44, 45 years. Hasn't ran a damn thing in his life but his mouth. And as you can see today, he can't even do that effectively. But his policies were the shit show because it was the same policies of Barack Obama. One thing the Democrats have been consistent at, that is consistently ruining this country. You can try to blame everything on Donald Trump, but people are waking up and smelling the smoke you're trying to blow up their ass. We see it. Democrats see it. Blacks are seeing it. I almost said African Americans there, ladies and gentlemen. I almost said the A word, but I caught myself. I caught myself. But everybody is seeing it. So what they want to do now is they want you to unsee everything you've seen and everything you've heard. It's kind of like when you're in a jury trial, this is one of the dumbest thing I've ever seen in our courts, judicial system. You're sitting in a jury trial. The prosecutor or the defense will say something, and the judge would give the jury instructions to forget that. Strike that from your memory. That's the Democrat Party. Forget what you see and heard and strike it from your memory and from your line of sight. As if you actually really can do that. And this is why we have bad judges today making decisions when it comes to Donald Trump. Because those judges, too, also believe we don't see what's really going on in the judicial system with the FBI, the DOJ, and the Secret Service. We see what's going on, but it just amazes me they would actually ask you to do such a thing when it's not possible. I mean, I wish I couldn't see the DNC Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night because it was actually a shit show, a clown show. I'm telling you, people, if you want to look at the Democratic, the Do Nothing Convention and the Republican National Convention, stark contrast. Policies, what Trump's going to do in the future, what's he going to bring back, drilling oil again, drill baby drill, more things for HBSUs, historically black colleges, more prison reforms, no taxes on tips, getting taxes back in order, getting the inflation rate down. He had an interesting idea. He didn't say it at the convention, but he was talking about start drilling in the United States, and then the country itself, our country, we get a royalty of every barrel of oil, and a percentage of that goes to the national deficit to get the deficit down. That's one hell of a deficit that we have right now, and getting it down, phew. The Democrats are spending $100 million every 90 days. Excuse me, $100 billion every 90 days. No, it's $1 trillion every 90 days, isn't it, Brian? Yeah, it's $1 trillion every 100 days. That is absolutely crazy. And the sad thing about it, how many of you are getting part of that? No, nobody's getting any of that money. So we're spending a lot of money in our country, but yet we receive absolutely none of it. My streets look just as shitty as it did, 100 days ago. We're not seeing any of that money. Where does all this money go that we're spending? Because guys, think about it. $1 trillion. That's a lot of zeros. That's a lot of zeros, ladies and gentlemen. Where's that money going to? Do you think it's actually going to the illegal immigrants that are coming into the nation? It's got to be. Or is it going to Ukraine? Or Hamas or Palestine? Small bit going to Russia? Maybe some of it's going to it's kind of like Rockefeller, not Rockefeller, but the Rockefeller. No, it was the what's the world richest family? It's the oh Lord, I can't remember their name.
The Rothschilds?
The Rothschilds. They would fund both sides of the war. Are we doing that? So if you don't know who the Rothschilds are, they're the world's wealthiest family. They have a net worth about $4 trillion. Now, it fluctuates from the Rothschilds and the family in Saudi Arabia. He's about $4 trillion as well, so it fluctuates. Kind of like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. But the Rothschilds, they used to fund both sides of the war. And then they would create banks and own all the banks during this time as well. As a matter of fact, they own a lot of the banks that exist in the country today. Well, I should say they own a large portion of some of these banks that exist today. Now, people always heard about BlackRock, Larry Fink. Don't get me wrong. They have, I think their holdings is about $4 trillion as well. But that's a little bit different. That's holdings of other people and other assets. The Rothschilds, it's their money. So they are independently wealthy without having to hold anyone else's holdings, such as BlackRock and State Street Capital and Vanguard. Those are the people that are running the country right now. Those are the people that are funding the Democrat Party. That's where the money is coming from. And also Bill Gates, also Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. See, this is what we call the cabal. And this is why the Democratic Party looks the way it does today. They don't worry about money because it's pouring out there. I mean, they've got money coming out their ears because the donors that deal with them are super wealthy. They're not just wealthy. They are super wealthy. So the Democrats don't really have to care about what the people was doing, because as long as they make those people happy, this country doesn't belong to you. It belongs to them. Why do you think some of these guys, they're all talking socialism, they're all talking about, wealth distribution. Then why are they all still billionaire if they're doing wealth distribution? They're not giving me any money. I don't know anybody they have given any money to. So if these people really believe what they're really saying, then none of them should be billionaires. They should be giving it all away. But what they don't tell you is they want to give away your money. They want to they don't want you to have property. They don't want you to have assets. They want to own all the land. As a matter of fact, Utah is suing the federal government right now, trying to get back some of our land. The federal government owns 60% of all land in the United States. They own 70% of land here in Utah. It varies, 62 to 70% here in the state of Utah. That's a lot of land, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of land that the people, this country was founded for we the people. But we own so little. And what we do have, we have to go lock, stock, and barrel and in debt to acquire it. The federal government just swipe their pen and they own it. These are problems in our state that we need to figure out here in Utah. And now here's the thing in the state of Utah, for you guys that don't know much about our state. The church owns 62 to 70%. The federal government owns 62 to 70% of the land in the state of Utah. The church owns a lot of land as well. And it still doesn't, because the church are the founders of this state. The church, the Mormons settled this state. But, so the federal government owns 62 to 70% of the land. The church owns, I don't know what the percentage of land they own here in the state of Utah, but they own an awful lot of land. But when you think about it, the people own very little land here in this state. And we have a population of 3.4 million people. So I've always thought about this, and I have never gotten a real answer on it. And my buddy Ken Ivory, he's a Utah legislator. He knows all this stuff. I'm going to have to ask him that question, because my question is this. If the church settled the land, the entire state, how does the federal government own 70% of the land? How does that happen? Because when we did, I think it was the Louisiana Purchase, it was for the people. The land was for the people. How did the federal government own 70% of the land that was settled by the Mormons? Ladies and gentlemen, that was just a little bit of chit chat talk with you today. I had to get some things off my mind, but the Do Nothing Committee I want to talk about a little bit. I know I rambled on a little bit today. I've been trying to do some stuff here at the state legislation on SB 54 in our state, but that's another story. But hey, I'll be back later this week. We may do another podcast this week, and just look out for it. But in the meantime, I want you guys to have a great rest of your week and continue watching the show. You are deeply appreciated. My name is Jonathan Harvey, and I'm the host of the Modern Conservative Podcast. Love you all.
This is the Modern Conservative Podcast with John Harvey.